Breaking news, Nvidia is now officially the most valuable company in the world. That's correct. Oh, don't read the second part. Sorry, I should get that. Don't read this. This Ponzi scheme. No, don't read that. That's nothing to pay attention to there. Sorry about that. Today we're going to get into some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta going forward, looking at GME and AMC as well. Some important things happening for Friday for GME and AMC. And maybe it means some bad things for a few stocks out there. We'll pay attention to that, but let's get into it. Now, we do have the day off tomorrow, but that means we need to research for a Thursday. So we just get a little bit more time to stare at our charts while they don't move and see what happens. And if they can come up with something to make this market go higher and keep Nvidia at those all-time highs, making even more all-time highs. So for tomorrow, or for Thursday, we're going to want to pay attention to a couple areas here. And this would be the daily expected moves, these red lines on your screen, 550.30. There it is. We finally see that 550 number come up. And that is exactly where I think we are probably going to head. And then 546.68. And the reason I think we're heading here is because, hey, Tom Lee said it, and for me, he's magically right. Most likely, they are telling him to go out and say that, so he's always right. And what do we notice here, though? We're getting a breakout towards the end of the day. If this starts to curl up on that MACD, more positivity could be there. I bet if we go look at a 15-minute, look how close that is to crossing. So if you cross early on in the day, watch out for that 550 number. It looks like that's where we should see some resistance based on the options market, right? So if we get outside of that, we have that 68% chance to land down, and right now we have that 68% chance to land down by the end of the week because we're outside of this range. But remember, this is a short squeeze. We are, well, not really even a short squeeze. This is just some kind of squeeze at this point. They're just not allowing selling to really hit the tape in the market is what I'm thinking. And mainly it's just Nvidia able to hold the market up here. If you just look on the right of my screen, you're going to see a whole bunch of red, but we have one or two greens. And the fact that I think Netflix is even going up because they're creating pretty much theaters, which I thought theaters were dead according to AMC. That's fishy. Anyway, you want to pay attention to these levels for tomorrow, see if there's any divergences, all that kind of thing. But if this crosses up, you're gonna see positivity. And then we can maybe, if this wants to come down, there's always a way up, there's always a way down. Pay attention to that saying. You don't want to get overzealous to one side. You want to pay attention to your risk. And if this 2 hour turns down, hey, that could mean something bad is happening. Make sure you pay attention to that downward expected move if it happens early on in the day. Okay, that retail hour, very important. But going into options expiration, we have $3 trillion on the line. We have $3 trillion on the line. And it looks like to me, people started to buy some calls, okay? We were seeing some calls trickle into the market according to the PCC. We'll look at all of that later, maybe live on Thursday. So do join us live because we're live every single morning and we're going to watch this craziness. $3 trillion on the line, and then we have to talk about what Roaring Kitty did with that position and how it lines up with my research. The Qs on the 2 hour, you want to pay attention to that downside, okay? It's going to be 482.54, so if we see that weakness early on, that's where we're expected to hold up based on the options market. And now we're finally seeing a daily expected move outside of the weekly expected move. Good sign for resistance there, up towards 487.88 to the upside. So real quick, the downside, the bearish case here would be that 2 hour turns down and we see some kind of pullback. Now, in the past, we've seen this right here. These are considered pullbacks, and I finally found someone who really just said it very simply, and I really like the way they said it. They said, this is a pullback with time, right? This is consolidation. This is a pullback with time. I would just say, hey, this is consolidation sideways. You break to the upside. But I like that saying of this is consolidation. This is a pullback using time. And I thought that was very, very interesting. So if the 2 hour curls down, hey, negativity can come, but that is overall just a pullback in this area, okay? We still could just turn right back up. So if we see some kind of weakness come in, I'm just slightly expecting this to turn back up eventually. Now we'll see if there's more work to be done here. Maybe it elongates out for a little while. We're outside of that monthly expected move. So yeah, I'm still going to keep with my thesis right now of some kind of major top coming in the next few trading days. By the 25th is overall what I was saying, but I'd say by the end of the month, we most likely see some kind of top, at least for a pullback, if not some kind of stock market crash. So we're still paying attention to that. Remember, I said 30 days, and they can rig this thing even more than 30 days, right? We could see some kind of drop and just see this build back up over time. We're always flip-flopping on this market. So downside right now, that would mean a pullback if that's able to confirm. We've like barely tried to confirm it on the Qs in the past. The 30-minute is what I'm paying attention to, though, seeing if this thing can curl up. And for the Qs as well, I just want to see if that 15-minute has confirmed it yet. It hasn't, but if this curls up early on in the day, I would really be paying attention to that 487.88, and I'd be paying attention to 550 for the SPY. This area here is where the sellers are most likely going to be lurking, or at least some kind of profit taking maybe going into options expiration. Now, we've seen a crazy market. We've overall been moving sideways for this pullback, a pullback with time. And we could see that build back up over time. So what do we notice here? Well, if we created that divergence, we want that to go negative. That is very important. They can keep this thing bouncing up and up as long as they remain above this center line. You see, we just remain above the center line for a very long time. And what happens to the stock? Well, it goes up. The ETF goes up. So we're paying attention to this. Your bullish case is this 15 minutes able to roll up and we see some upside. Your bearish case is that 2 hour flips over and maybe we actually get a for sure 2 hour pullback. Apple, this is what we were talking about on the video I posted over on Patreon on Monday. We were saying, hey, Apple's already towards that move. It looks like a double top on a 2 hour. And I pretty much am counting that as divergence. Now we want to see if that's able to actually go negative because you see it's trying to curl back up. So we could see one more push higher. We'll have to see what happens with Apple going forward. The bullish case would be, hey, this thing pops up. You get that curl up on the MACD. And guess what? Positive territory, positive move. So the 2 hour here was able to curl down. It rejected. And now it is saying pullback. So if there's more work to be done here, then that 30 minutes most likely not going to cross, or it will be brief and we will see that fall throughout the rest of the week. We'll see what happens with that, but a good trade setup would be some kind of triple top at this level, right? And then we see that start to fade down. We'll see. As of right now, you do have a 2 hour pullback in the books for Apple. And on Thursday, we're going to give out those daily expected moves for all these stocks. And that's very, very useful to have on an options expiration day when there's $3 trillion on the line. So pay attention to that. If we pop into Tesla real quick, we'll just notice this 2 hour wasn't able to curl over yet, not saying pullback just yet. Okay, now the 30 minute has curled down, but notice this, it is still positive. So Tesla does still have the ability to see some kind of pop here. And maybe we do form some kind of divergence right here that would get us close to that center line. That's what we're mentioning, right? We're just giving scenarios for the future. It doesn't mean like, hey, if this goes like this automatically has to drop down. Go look at Palantir. We talked about that trade. It was a great trade. And then if you managed your risk, you probably made some money in it. That's good. You have to manage every single trade, especially in this environment. Be very cautious in this environment. But it looks like for Tesla, a bullish thing would be, hey, that 30 minute curls up. You might get outside of that weekly range again. So pay attention to that. If that 2 hour rolls over, well, we might see the selling continue for Tesla. Amazon, as we pop over to that, this is something that I was noticing towards the end of the day, just really looking at this and seeing it confirm at the end of the day. So you do have the opportunity here for some kind of maybe double bottom forming. And that would be if the 30 minute can go positive, okay, then the bullish thing would be the 2 hour able to cross up, because look at that, positive territory is right there. So if Amazon's going to see another bullish move, we're going to see that 2 hour cross back up. If it's going to see a bearish move, then this daily is going to cross over and daily momentum is going to take over. So we'll see. You're losing the 50 right now. It's not a good look for Amazon, but in the shorter time frames, we do see a possible double bottom. So it's kind of a two-sided coin there, and that's something to pay attention to for Amazon. Now it's time for Nvidia, and this is the move that I am scaling into as of right now. The reason I'm scaling into it before we get into the 30 minute is the 2 hour. It actually crossed over on this MACD, and you see the rigged move, it pops right back up. I'm totally prepared for that. I'm not going to use a big size move in this. I think that this is overall just a big Ponzi scheme. I think there's fraud in it, and I think that there's overall the revenues are not clear. I don't think that the revenues are even real at this point. And even if you look at the revenues, it's worth over $3 trillion now, which is what's being, put on the line on Friday, funny enough, but it's worth over $3 trillion now, and they only have $100 billion in revenue. So I think that this is the last pop in the bubble that we're going to have. And I think Nvidia might even just turn down on the 2 hour. You see, we have a lot of room to that center line. So this is, if this 2 hours is able to turn down, maybe we get some kind of pullback to here and that just pops back up. Or maybe we actually get a significant pullback down to something like 125. And then we see that curl right back up, curl up, positive territory, positive move. We're talking about the future, so we're prepared. Now on the 30 minute, in order to see that negativity, and really I'm just saying negativity because we've moved sideways a lot of the time. We've done that pullback with time a lot of the time, and then we pop up again. So you see this crossed up on the 30 minute. That told me, hey, upside for Nvidia is there. It can go higher, right? Those weekly expected moves coming in handy. It can go higher. That's why this is very, very difficult to short. That's why I'm doing a very small position and just adding into that position very, very slowly, as I think this thing will be topping out soon. So I'm paying attention to that, and people hear me say that and they throw a bunch of money at it. You got to learn these skills, and that course down in the description is only $100 for the month of June. That's coming to an end very, very soon. So pay attention to that. But what would you notice in the nearest price action? We do have a 30-minute divergence, so that is starting to get closer to the center line. But if that gets to the center line, curls right back up, we could see another move higher and then see another point of divergence up in here. And that would tell me I'm overall not wrong, just the wrong timing, right? Timing is a big thing in this market. And thank you to everyone who showed up to the live video today. And we talked about investing on a monthly scale. It was a lot of fun. That's a video we're adding to the course. But Nvidia, I think that this is a big bubble. And I think that something that could pop that bubble is AMC and GME. And we're going to talk about how Roaring Kitty timed this and how it may be history repeating itself. AMD, and this one on the 30-minute, I saw these like kind of wonky divergences almost, and I see it on the RSI, not necessarily on the MACD at the same time. So I think that we may see some kind of bounce from AMD, and I think this 2-hour actually might be able to curl up. Now we'll see how high that's able to get. That's just what I think is happening right now. I need this to actually confirm, and we haven't really confirmed yet. And AMD is getting bad news. They leaked some data, and so it's just not a good look. I believe they were hacked and some data was released of their employees. So not a good look for AMD so far, but it's not down towards a weekly expected move bottom side. You're still in the middle of the move as of right now for the week, and we could see some kind of bounce if this 30-minute goes positive. If the 30 minutes is not going to go positive, or if it goes positive and curls right back down, this daily momentum will be taking over, and I think we'll end up back into this zone if we want to get bearish. So there's always a bullish case, there's always a bearish case. You just have to know what signals to look for in order to react. Meta, this one here on the daily, could be seeing some kind of pullback on the daily. We'll see what happens with that. It's still within range of going negative. Just be aware of it. But on the 2-hour, what do we notice? It's down by the center line. It's down by the center line. So if Meta actually wants to catch a bid here, you'd see this 2-hour curl up. That would mean positivity, right? Crossing in positive territory, positive move, positive price action. So we'll pay attention to that. As of right now, the 30-minute, I was going to see if there was divergence here, but I just noticed right away there is not. So that tells me if there is a bounce here, I have to be aware if that starts to fade, because there's not really a bunch of dying out. All you have is really tapering here, and you don't really have the best divergences. So if this bounces up, watch for that to turn down at any time and go negative. But if that can continue positive, you see that 2-hour curl up, then you may see another big move from Meta. The party can continue as long as the music keeps on playing. Okay, this is the game that we're getting into. If this is something that has really beaten you up lately, I am going to be uploading that investing video soon. I got to make it. I have everything written out. I'm just ready to sit down and film that thing for you. I want to make it simple. We did it live today. If you want a little taste for that, go back and look at the live video from today and see when we're looking at monthly charts. I just said bring up a random stock. Bring up a random stock that's been around for a little while, and I'll show you guys how to invest in it. And we showed you that you could have made on Disney, Google, and there was another one, MSTR. I think those were the 3 that we did, and I was overall like, look, you could make great money in these. It's awesome. All you have to do is look at a monthly chart. So I just want to make that very clear, because that's something that I'm going to do once I hit my goals. I'm going to become overall an investor, and I'll stop trading in these markets, because I don't believe in these markets, and I think that they could just rig it even more if the problem comes to light and they actually continue just doing what they're doing and we go into more and more debt. So just pay attention for that coming out. But for Meta here, you want to see if that 30-minute can gain some ground, see if that 2-hour can curl up. All right, AMC, let's get into this real quick. What do we notice about AMC? Well, first of all, I don't know why they are dropping off dramatically during GameStop annual meeting. I don't understand that, because they had a great weekend. They had a record-breaking Friday for 2024, and then right after that, they had a record-breaking Saturday. So it just doesn't really make sense. Netflix puts out that they're going to be making like pretty much theaters, and AMC still goes down. It just doesn't really make sense at this point, because everyone said, right? Everyone told you theaters are dead, but why would Netflix be making theaters if theaters are dead? So at this point, what do we want to pay attention to with the technicals? Well, the 30-minute did cross over at the end of the day, so that is not the best sign going into Thursday. Pay attention to that. It's not the best sign going into Thursday, because you are pointing down in negative territory, and that has confirmed on your MACD. So pay attention to that. That's something pretty important, and we can go through all these. The 2-hour pointing down in negative territory, not a good sign. And then the daily, yeah, it's still with you. It's in positive territory, but it hasn't turned back up yet. You need the daily to really turn back up, but maybe options expiration could force some of that to happen. So we'll pay attention to this. But as of right now, AMC, we do have to talk negatively about it, even though I am holding the stock and I have not changed any of my positions. I actually bought a little bit more today. GameStop kind of moving backwards, but first I just wanted to point out the last time that Ryan Cohen, Roaring Kitty, he exercised so he would have 9 million and 100,000 shares. I think the last time they did that was with Ryan Cohen. Okay, so Ryan Cohen did it, and then after the T35 got implemented 35 days later, they actually saw that squeeze start to happen. So that was overall, I believe that's them having to buy back into the stock, and it can cause some crazy things to happen. There's a lot of big bets on this stuff going into Friday, so just be cautious with it, right? But we know a few things about this, and what I wanted to say on top of that was Roaring Kitty did the same thing, and that actually is for this Friday, for the biggest options expiration. So just pay attention because something crazy can happen. But overall, if you look back, the crazy move happened the next week. Like the overall big crazy move happened the next week. So that's something I wanted you to be aware of. If you want something great to happen, you're gonna need daily momentum to turn back up, and you're gonna need to get above 37.26 this week. That's gonna be your craziness can happen. And then on Sunday, we'll actually put these out on Patreon so you have the new level for your chart for GameStop and AMC. So if we go down though, just see if this thing's bullish at all. You can see the 2 hour still pointing down, negative territory, not a bullish sign. We were able to hold this trend line, but not a bullish sign. You need this to turn back up and go positive. You see, once we go positive, boom, big positive move. Awesome. So the 30-minute is what I wanted to show you guys here because we noticed that the price action here is going down. It is going down, but your momentum indicator is actually still going up. It's not confirming a downward move. It's actually, ever since you started going down from here, it's actually been going up. So I thought that was interesting that we're seeing momentum give a little divergence there in the near term. So just pay attention to that, but you are holding the trend line. You need the 30 minutes to go positive. You need the 2 hour to go positive. You need the daily to go positive in order to see some kind of move upward. So the main takeaway for today is, well, I guess on Friday we'll see what happens because there's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of risky moves. There's a lot of risky bets going into GME and AMC. So we'll see what happens. And Nvidia really does look like a Ponzi scheme at this point. So just pay attention to it. It doesn't mean try to trade it. It's a very difficult one to trade. I'm going to watch it very closely and use small position sizes in order to trade that because I'm not trying to get beat up with one stock rigging it to the upside. I'm just not going to do that. So the main takeaway really should be, hey, this is a time to be cautious and maybe think of learning how to invest because I'm telling you, everyone who is a bear is starting to become a bull, and I'm one of the ones who just follows the signals, and this still looks like a bubble to me, and therefore that could mean we might see much cheaper prices in the future, and that could tell you, hey, maybe I want to build up money over time, maybe I want to invest on a monthly chart when that momentum's ticking back up, and I think that's a very cool thing to learn. So we're going to put that in the course over the weekend. Remember, it's $100 for the next, I think it's only a couple weeks left, so grab that over the weekend or grab that in your free time with tomorrow, maybe since the stock market really won't be trading too much, and dedicate yourself to learning. I really respect that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I thank you for the liking, subscribe. You guys are always fantastic about that stuff, and I really do appreciate it. I look forward to going live with you guys on Thursday. Peace.